3 meters, she was 3 meters away. I could see every whisker, every muscle, the yellow in her eyes cold, calculating. My son was behind me, 8 years old, crying. I had a machete, 12 inches of dull steel. She had everything else, and I had maybe 10 seconds before she decided if we lived or died. I still walk this trail, every Sunday morning, same path I've walked for 40 years. Yesterday, I found fresh jaguar tracks, female, big, right where the trail narrows, and I was back, 34 years old, 1992, taking my son on what I thought would be an easy father-son hike. That day, the forest decided to test everything I thought I knew about survival. The morning started perfect, Sunday warm, the kind of heat that feels good before it gets brutal. I woke up my oldest son, Miguel. He was 8, want to go see the forest. He jumped out of bed. He'd been asking to come with me for months. My wife packed us water, some bread. Be back by lunch, she said. I laughed. It's 2 hours. We'll be back before you finish cooking. The trail was one I'd walked 1,000 times. Since I was a kid, I knew every turn, every tree. I'd taken tourists on this exact route for 12 years. Never an incident, not even close. It was the safe trail, the easy one, the one I could walk blindfolded. Miguel was excited, asking questions about everything. What's that bird? What made that sound? I was teaching him to track, how to read the forest, how to see what most people miss. We were 45 minutes in when we saw them. Tracks, fresh, pressed deep into the mud where the trail got narrow. Miguel saw them first. Papai, look. I crouched down, examined them. Big 4 toes, retracted claws, round pad. Jaguar, I told him. Female, probably 80-90 kilos. He got quiet. He knew what jaguars were. Every kid in the village knew. Is she close? I touched the edge of the print, still wet, edges sharp. She passed here maybe an hour ago, maybe less. I should have turned back right then, but I'd seen jaguar tracks before, hundreds of times. They avoid humans, they hunt at night. It was mid-morning, broad daylight, and this was a trail, a well-used trail. She'd be long gone, so I stood up. It's fine, she's not here anymore, but stay close to me, okay? He nodded, grabbed my hand. We kept walking. The trail got narrower, dense forest on both sides, vines, thick undergrowth, no way to step off the path. You either go forward or go back. That's it. Miguel was quiet now, listening. I could feel his hands sweating in mine. Then I heard it, low, deep, like wood scraping on wood, the sawing sound, the territorial call of a jaguar, 50 meters ahead, maybe less. Miguel's hand clamped down on mine. Papai, I put my finger to my lips. Don't move. Don't make a sound. My heart was already hammering, every nerve in my body screaming, because I knew what that sound meant. She wasn't gone. She was here, and she knew we were here too. I heard it before I saw her. That sawing sound again, closer, maybe 40 meters. I put Miguel behind me, whispered, stay behind me. Don't run, no matter what happens. You don't run, understand? He nodded. His eyes were huge, terrified. I could feel him shaking. Then she stepped onto the trail, 40 meters ahead, just walked out of the vegetation like she owned it. Because she did. Female jaguar, massive, 85-90 kilos, maybe more. Golden coat, black rosettes, muscles moving under her skin like water. She stopped, lifted her head, and looked straight at us. I did the math in 3 seconds. What I had, one machete, 30 centimeters, used for cutting branches, not fighting. 1 bottle of water, 1 terrified 8-year-old, 2 kilometers back to the village. 0 cell service, 0 gun, 0 experience fighting jaguars. What she had, bite force 1500 psi, crushes skulls, speed, 80 kilometers per hour in a sprint, hunting success rate, 85%, claws, 10 centimeters long, 90 kilos of pure muscle, technique, kills by piercing the skull through bone. My options, calculated in seconds, run. She chases her speed, 80 kilometers per hour. My speed, carrying Miguel, maybe 15. She catches us in 8 seconds, attacks from behind. We both die. Fight. I have a machete. She has claws, jaws that break bones. 90 kilos of killing machine. I might hurt her. She will kill me. Miguel is alone in the forest. Miguel dies. Climb a tree. Jaguars climb better than humans. She climbs after us. We're trapped. She waits. We fall from exhaustion. We die, or stay still. If she's hunting, I die protecting Miguel. If she's territorial, maybe she just evaluates and leaves. Survival probability, unknown. But it's the only option that doesn't guarantee death. I chose to stay still. 40 meters. I could see every detail now. The way her shoulder blades moved, the muscles in her legs, her tail low, twitching at the tip. 35 meters. Miguel was crying now. Quiet, terrified sobs. I could feel him pressed against the back of my legs, shaking so hard I thought he'd fall. I didn't turn around, didn't take my eyes off her. I whispered, "Miguel, listen to me. Don't run. I don't care what happens. You don't run." He didn't answer, just sobbed harder. 30 meters she stopped, sat down, right in the middle of the trail, just sat, watching us, like a house cat watching a bird, calculating, patient. My hands were sweating so bad the machete handle was slipping. I adjusted my grip. She noticed, her ears flicked forward. Then she stood up again, kept coming. 25 meters. I could hear her breathing, deep, controlled. Every exhale, a low rumble. 20 meters. I could see her eyes yellow. No emotion, just focus. Pure Redditor, focus. 15 meters. My whole body was screaming to run. Every instinct, every survival reflex. Run, run, run. But I knew, if I ran, we died. So I stayed. 10 meters. She stopped again, lowered her head, stared at me, and growled, deep, vibrating in my chest. A sound that said, "I can kill you whenever I want." Miguel's legs gave out. He collapsed behind me. I heard liquid hit the ground. He'd urinated. He was 8 years old, facing a Jaguar, and he'd lost control of his bladder. I didn't move, didn't react, just kept my eyes on her. 7 meters. She crouched, hindquarters up, front low, attack position. Every muscle in her body coiled, ready. I raised the machete, not to attack, just to show her, I have this. It won't be easy. She saw it. Her eyes tracked the blade, didn't care. 5 meters. I could smell her, wet fur, musk, and blood. Fresh blood from a recent kill, something she'd eaten that morning. The smell hit me like a wave. My stomach turned. 3 meters. She stopped, sat down again, and looked at me. Not like prey, different. I looked back, didn't challenge, didn't submit, just looked. I was a father protecting my son. She was. I didn't know what she was, but I saw something in those yellow eyes. Recognition, maybe, or maybe I was just desperate to see it. Miguel had stopped crying. He wasn't making any sound at all. I thought for a second he'd passed out, but I could feel him breathing against my leg. Fast, shallow, panicked breathing. The forest went completely silent. No insects, no birds, nothing. Like the whole jungle was holding its breath, watching, waiting to see what she'd decide. 30 seconds, maybe a minute, I don't know. Time stopped existing. It was just me, her, and the space between us. 3 meters of dirt and fallen leaves, and the choice between life and death. I thought, this is it. This is how I die. Killed by a Jaguar while my son watches, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't fight her, can't run, can't save him. All I can do is stand here and hope. Hope she chooses mercy. Hope the forest decides we deserve to live. Then she stood up, turned, and walked away. Just like that, turned her back to us and walked into the forest. Disappeared into the vegetation like smoke, like she was never there. I didn't move, couldn't, my legs wouldn't respond. I stood there, machete still raised, staring at the spot where she'd disappeared, waiting for her to come back, waiting for the attack I knew was coming. But nothing happened, just silence, and the sound of Miguel crying behind me. Not scared crying anymore, relief crying. He was sobbing, gasping for air, holding onto my leg so tight it hurt. I tried to take a step. My knee buckled. I caught myself. Tried again. Fell. Just dropped to the ground like my bones had turned to water. Miguel threw himself on me, wrapped his arms around my neck. We sat there in the middle of the trail, both of us shaking, both of us crying. I don't know how long. 5 minutes. 10. I couldn't move, couldn't think. Just sat there holding my son and trying to remember how to breathe. When I finally could stand, my legs were shaking so bad I could barely walk. I picked Miguel up, put him on my back. He was too heavy. I didn't care. Started walking, back the way we came. I fell twice. Once my knee just gave out. The second time I tripped over nothing. Air, fear, I don't know. But I got up, kept walking. Miguel didn't say a word, just held on, his face buried in my neck. his tears soaking through my shirt. It took us an hour to get back. Should have taken 30 minutes, but I had to stop, had to rest. My whole body was shutting down. Adrenaline crash. When we finally got to the village, my wife saw us, ran over. What happened? What's wrong? I couldn't speak, just handed her Miguel, went inside, sat down at the table, and stared at the wall. I didn't eat that day, didn't speak, just sat there replaying it, over and over. 3 meters. She was 3 meters away, and she left. Why did she leave? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside made me jump. Wind in the trees, an animal moving through the brush. I kept seeing her, those yellow eyes, that crouch, the way she looked at me, deciding. Miguel didn't sleep either. He climbed into bed with us, held on to his mother. I could hear him crying in the dark. My wife asked me 3 times what happened. I couldn't explain. How do you explain that? That you stood 3 meters from a jaguar and did nothing? That you let her decide if your son lived or died? 3 days later, hunters from the village came back with news. They'd found a female jaguar with 2 cubs, 500 meters from that trail, in a den hidden in thick brush. She'd had cubs, young ones, maybe 2-3 months old. The hunters didn't go near, didn't want to provoke her, but they marked it, warned everyone. Dangerous area, mother with cubs, the most aggressive thing in the forest. And I understood. She wasn't hunting us that day. She was protecting. We'd walked into her territory, close to her den, close to her cubs. And she'd come out to evaluate the threat, to decide, fight or let us pass. She could have killed me, easy. 3 meters. 1 leap, jaws around my throat, done. But she didn't. She looked at me, saw me standing between her and my son, doing exactly what she'd do, protecting my cub, and maybe she recognized it, parent to parent, father to mother, and she gave us a choice. Walk away, both of us live. I spent 15 years trying to understand why she let us go. I asked biologists, wildlife experts, indigenous trackers. Everyone had theories. She wasn't hungry. We weren't worth the energy. She was just warning us, testing us. But none of it felt right, because I was there. I saw her eyes. That wasn't warning. That wasn't testing. That was decision. One old tracker, a Tucano man, told me something I've never forgotten. He said, "The forest doesn't negotiate. It decides." And that day, she decided you both deserved to walk away. Maybe because you didn't challenge her. Maybe because she saw you protecting your son. Maybe because jaguars understand more than we think. But she gave you a gift. And the forest doesn't give gifts often. 3 days after the encounter, I went back to that trail, alone. I don't know why. Maybe to prove I could. Maybe to understand. I walked to the spot. The exact spot where she'd sat 3 meters from me. And I looked into the forest where she'd disappeared. The vegetation was thick, dense. I couldn't see more than 2 meters in. But I knew she'd been watching from in there. Watching me stand there. Watching me try to understand. I found tracks. Hers, and smaller ones. Her cubs. They'd been close. So close. If I'd taken 5 more steps forward that day, I would have walked right into her den. And then there would have been no choice, no mercy. She would have killed me without hesitation. But I'd stopped, and she'd come out. And somehow, we'd both walked away. I never walked that trail again without a rifle. Never took Miguel back. He's 42 now, has kids of his own. He still won't go into the forest. That day marked him, changed something. He tells his children about it. The day a jaguar let him live. He doesn't remember all the details, but he remembers her eyes. He remembers his father standing between him and death. And he remembers the choice she made. I still walk this trail, every Sunday, but now I carry weight, not just the rifle, the memory. Every time I pass that spot, I stop. I look into the forest, and I remember the wet fur smell, the yellow eyes, the 3 meters of space between life and death, and the fact that she chose life, for both of us. She didn't have to. She had every right to kill me. I was in her territory, near her cubs, but she didn't, and I've spent 40 years asking why. I don't have an answer. I don't think I ever will. But I'm grateful. If you ever find yourself face to face with something bigger than you, something that could end you in seconds, remember this: freezing isn't cowardice. Sometimes it's the only choice that lets you survive. I've walked this forest for 50 years. I've seen things that would stop most people's hearts, and I've learned one truth: the forest doesn't negotiate, it decides, and all we can do is respect that decision. I have more stories, more scars, More moments when the forest decided I deserved to keep walking. If you want to hear them, stay close. I'll be here, by the river, waiting.